time of the day when we tell you about everything that's buzzing in the startup space. I'm Priya Sheth and a very warm welcome to all of you to the Daily Dispatch. On today's show, I'm going to be talking about the top 3 companies that have been in news on the weekend and today, and these include Byju's, 314 Capital, as well as InfoEdge. The first headline of the day is Byju's, which is clearly on a shopping spree. Regulatory filings indicate that Byju's has acquired edtech companies such as Stopper as well as Great Learning, and estimates indicate that Byju's may have spent as much as $600 million for both these deals combined. Now, Byju's recently announced that it had acquired US-based startup Epic for a whopping $500 million. Well, early-stage venture capital firm 314 Capital expects to fully tie up commitments for its latest fund of over $100 million corpus during the current quarter. The fund will continue with the strategy of making about 8 to 12 investments annually. Well, headline number 3, InfoEdge, which backs portals like Naukri.com and Zomato, has acquired HR tech startup DoSelect for 21 crore rupees. This acquisition is likely to strengthen InfoEdge's presence in the recruitment sector with focus on end-to-end hiring solutions. A very warm welcome to this very special interview. I have with me someone who is making waves in the edtech space and has seen a 4x kind of increase as far as overall revenue is concerned on a year-on-year basis. I have with me Vamsi Krishna from Vedantu. Thank you, Vamsi, for joining us today on the Daily Dispatch. I want to begin by asking you about the edtech space, which seems to be so hot these days. Every other day we're hearing of big acquisitions happening in the space. So what's really happening? Tell us the inside story.
Hey, hi Priya. Thanks for having me here, and lovely to connect with you guys. A lot of stuff is happening. So exciting times for this space. I think it's a combination of multiple factors over here. Education, for a country like India has always been, special. Aspirations of the parents has always been to get the best quality, teachers and the best quality teaching for the kids. What online has suddenly, done is provide that access of this high quality teachers and high quality content and make that accessible to probably places like tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 locations, right? And COVID has even further accelerated that mind shift change, right? Earlier parents used to think of online as probably sort of like a secondary thing, but given the last 1.5 years where they have seen a lot of activities and their own activities converting online, people have taken to this big time. So I think it's a combination of these, which has really made the activity in the sector, as you described, it's quite frenzy. So as an edupreneur, I'm obviously loving it. So let's see how it goes.
Right, and Vedantu has not been behind in that race. Recently, you all did make an acquisition of Pedagogy last week, and it seems to be an interesting acquisition out there. Tell us a little bit about how it's going to help Vedantu.
Definitely, I think this is our second acquisition in the space, Priya. Pedagogy, they are actually leaders in the space wherein they provide access to books, right? The common, the standard books which most of the students refer to or study from. So they have created an amazing platform which kind of gives publishers, the offline publishers access, and they put their own digital books where students can just come in one place and one location get access to probably multiple titles, right? So it solves multiple problem statements. So one, for the student side, what it does is that instead of holding tens and huge amount of books, you have one place where you can just come in and access to whatever title and in whatever manner you would want to use it. That's one. Actually, the platform takes it even further from there. So not just access, but it has also made accessing content very easy. So typically the use case, all of us have also gone through this ourselves. So we use books for not just reading the theory material, but also practicing a lot of problems, right? Practicing tests. So what Pedagogy has done is converted, they have these algorithms which convert this content of these books of the publishers into practicable content and flashcards and so on and so forth. So it's not just access, but also converting that content into easily consumable form, is what this product is about. And for Vedantu, it was a very strong, clear fit. We have millions of students on our own platform who actually use this. So we are constantly thinking of ways in which what all can we do in order to help our own students gain more access and help our own students consume stuff in an easy way, right? And this fairly sat in that strategy, and that's why we went ahead for this.
Right, Vamsi, I want to talk to you about the numbers that everybody wants to hear about, which is your 4x growth over the last 1 year and what your plans are going forward. You've onboarded millions of students as well on your platform. So, what kind of metrics are you looking forward to in the year ahead?
Yeah, no, that's a good one, Priya. I think, I get asked this question quite a lot, but very honestly speaking, right, it's, COVID has really accelerated some of it. But let me be on record and say this, even before COVID, online education and Vedantu specifically was growing, and growing pretty well. So if I just tell you about the 2019 numbers or even numbers before that, we were growing at a 2.5 to 3.5x kind of an year on year. But agreed, COVID has further accelerated that. And in 2020 itself, we saw growth really spiraling up to like 5x. And even right now, as you mentioned, in 2021, we are still continuing to see 4x kind of an year on year growth. What we do focus on is not just the growth on revenues, which obviously is going great and doing well, but also like how many students are we providing access to. So our strategy really depends on one, increasing the distribution of, and when I say distribution, it is a reach of the free students. And on that front itself, we've grown quite substantially. So today on the platform, which is our web and app, around 35 million unique students would come and access our content and stuff every month. That's it. And we just didn't stop there, by the way. So the interesting thing is, Priya, when we see the students, they're not just like looking out for content in your own web and app. They're actually going to these public platforms like YouTube and so on and so forth. So what we did is we went there and created, today Vedantu has one of the largest K-12 channels on YouTube. So there we get around 68 million views every month, right? And we also like partnered with Tata Sky and Airtel for dedicated channels, wherein, even if they don't have this access, they can actually use alternate access channels. So this has been our, the strong, strategy, wherein we increase our reach and be present where students are searching for, right? So that really, grew also substantially over the last few years. And from there, obviously, like once you have so many students coming to you and engaging, then you essentially from there convert them to, your paid subscribers and paid students. Yeah.
Right. Vamsi, I want to know going forward if there were top 3 areas that you will focus on in terms of category expansion, in terms of new products and offerings on the platform. What would they be? Tell our audience. They want to listen to what you have to say on this.
I think, with all the, frenzy as you described and all the craziness and all the growth stuff happening, personally, I do believe it is way, way, way too early for online education in India. As overall the category, we are probably not even 10% penetrated, right? There are so many students, around 310 million students just in K-12. I'm only talking about K-12 here. Beyond K-12, there is even a bigger number, right? So there's so many students there. I think it's just got started and there is huge opportunity, right? And it's way early. Having said that, I think as far as Vedantu's focus is concerned, we are strongly believe that K-12 is a category which, as I said, is going to get massively penetrated in the next, 4 or 5 years, so probably even a decade's time, right? And we want to be in the driving seat of that. So we've been focused on K-12 very strong as a category, and we continue to see ourselves doing that, and entering more subcategories inside K-12, right? So that's really our strategy. And apart from that, Priya, what gave us success till now is what we are going to continue to double down on. I think very strong student obsession and focused on student experience leading to learning outcomes is something which I believe is what a great education company should stand for, right? And that is something which is very, very core to us. So focusing on that, doubling down on that, and also increasing our reach, which I said is is the second part of our strategy. So these are the two pillars on which we are continuing to going to focus on and invest substantially in future as well.
So talk to us about the kind of aggressive expansion that you're talking about. In terms of fundraise, are you looking at raising some funds of late? Because I believe that you did raise some funds earlier this year, and I believe there are some plans to do so. So
I mean, the funny part with these things is like, you are not really planning for it, but some good partner comes along and it suddenly makes sense for you. So even last year, when we did this, when we raised a round, it was not really something which we were planning, but it just happens that some good partner comes along and it suddenly makes sense. So we obviously are constantly, open to that idea, right? And definitely, like, given how the environment is and the situation is, overall for the Indian startup ecosystem, right? It's good in terms of the liquidity. So we'll definitely be open for those conversations as we go. Answering the second part of your question, the first part of your question, sorry, which was how we're thinking about our expansion strategy in terms of categories, right? So that's really going to be something which we are doubling down on. So last year, for example, we opened our early years category, which was like 4 years to 8-year-olds, right? And today, I can tell you, Priya, it's one of our fastest growing, categories. It just like in just 1 year, it grew from almost like 0% to almost today contributes to 15% of our revenues, right? And so like that, there are few more categories, like for example, state boards, right? More lower grades. These are the categories which Vedantu would continue to penetrate deeply about. And yeah, we are going to be very aggressive in our own K-12 expansion, because this is an area which we really want to dominate. And being the category leader in the live tutoring space, right? This is an area which also lends itself very well to the model which we pioneer in, which is the interactive classes, because the kids are young, they really require that kind of an interaction. So this is where we are really going to double down on, right? And that's the plan.
Right, Vamsi, a last question before I let you go on the kind of revenue and the growth going forward. If you could give us some numbers in terms of how growth and revenues are going to shape up at the end of FY22.
Sure, Priya. I think we sort of touched upon that in terms of the year-on-year growth, which has almost been like 4x. So we are very excited. I mean, I just wish that we are able to continue with this kind of growth. I know it's going to be tough, but it's really a dream run. This kind of a growth in terms of the top line. I think at the top of the funnel numbers I already gave you. We currently sit on around 35 million unique students who come and access us every month. That's all on our web and app. In terms of our revenue, which is the top line, last month we were trending around 60 million. This, like, I think in the month of July, we even grew further from there. So we're currently somewhere around a 65 million kind of like a top line run rate. I think aspirationally, we have taken a 3x target on this. So I think by probably next year around the same time, we'll be very happy, and we are targeting around a 200 million kind of like a top line number from this current 65 million where we are, right? So top line growth is obviously one thing, but we are also conscious and cognizant of the fact that education is also a business where it's not a high burn thing, right? You need to maintain a very strong profitable growth. So I'm also very happy to say that we are not just growing, but we are growing very profitably. So that is also another area which is very important for us and the company. So in terms of the profitability, we're already contribution margin positive. We just want to maintain that and target towards becoming overall profitable in next 15 to 18 months time frame. So that's really the top level goals which we have for ourselves, and look forward to achieving that.
Right. We wish you all the very best. We're looking forward to a $200 million kind of revenue run rate and 4.5 to 5x kind of growth in the next financial year. Thank you very much, Vamsi, for joining us today. And we wish you all the very best for your growth plans going forward. Thank you so much for being a part of the Daily Dispatch.
Thank you, Priya. Thanks for having me over.
Well, time now to wrap up this edition of the Daily Dispatch. I'll catch you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Goodbye and have a lovely day.